Are you feeling emotional about selling your house? Hi, I'm Jim Geisinger of Geisinger Group Realtors, and this is Dr. Pat Zalaznic, thanatologist. Dr. Zalaznic, what is a thanatologist?
A thanatologist helps people with issues around death and dying.
Dr. Zalaznic, I see a lot of people that are very stressed about selling their home and moving on to the next phase of their life. What's that about?
It depends on if this is a home or a house to them, because home has all kinds of other connotations. House is a structure, and as such you can begin to approach it that way. Home has many structures inside of us that we don't even think about, we take for granted.
When they get stressed about this, does it have any concern or any difference how long they've lived in the house?
It certainly can. For example, somebody who lives in a home 30 years has 30 years worth of memories or potential memories, where if you have lived in a house for 3 years as a starter home and then plan to move to something larger, with a family, I think that it makes all kinds of difference.
You were talking about how some of the events that happen in a house and how that affects.
It does. When you, well, do you mind if I give you a personal example?
Oh, that'd be great.
I lived in a home in suburbia and always wanted a large lot. He had a lot and a half for children to play in. And so we brought new babies home there. And as they got older, they put on plays in the backyard. We had programs in the house. We used to play the piano and sing. We had high school open houses in the backyard, college open houses in the backyard. And then one by one, four of my children moved away. And so they were, at this point, one was deceased, one was living, two of them were living overseas, but nobody was living in the state. Mm. And I had this large yard, 4-car wide driveway. Nobody's there to shovel or mow, but boy, are they irritated when I say this is too much for one person and I'm putting it on the market to sell.
So the kids had some grief over that.
Oh, big time. For years, they would drive by and say to me, as though I were the traitor, well, I drove by the house yesterday, which is a clue to what it meant to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, one of the things I run into often is, people who are, it does, well, just like you, it doesn't work for them anymore. They can't maintain the house. It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of time it's that person who has the problem of letting go. And how I see that is those people so often tend to sabotage the sale, either by delaying, or by insisting on a price that's just too high, or they won't make changes to the house that are really necessary to make it sell. How do we help those people to move on to the next phase of life?
Very careful. No. One of the things I think most people may not even be aware that they're sabotaging the sale.
Sure not. And
by putting, it's like the elephant in the living room, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. If we talk about it and begin to look at different aspects of it and maybe even think about some ways to cope with those different aspects, then they will see that there is, the light at the end of the tunnel is not the train coming toward them. Mm. They will see that, maybe this is doable. Mm-hmm. And so often when people are grieving, I don't think they are even aware of it. I mean, obviously you are, and everybody's aware if you lose a job or there's a death in the family. But just the grief of even thinking about selling a house before you even mention it to anybody else. I remember I had a friend who was a counselor, wise man, and I was just talking maybe about beginning to think about selling my house. And he said, it's so interesting, you know, you can sell the house, but you still have the home in your heart. And I went home and went downstairs and sat on top of the washer and contemplated that. I mean, it was just kind of a revelation to me to think of how you could untangle some of this. And you can think of all those wonderful memories that you're going to take with you
Mm-hmm.
as you are preparing this home to be sold.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. One of the things that you talked to me about a long time ago was having a party, a get-together of your family, and making a timeline, like on freezer paper or something. Just a roll of paper and start getting the photos out and pasting and taping the photos on the paper and writing this timeline of this is when Bob went to kindergarten and this is when Jim did this and yeah.
I've been thinking, you know, the contrast between the grief at a funeral is facilitated in part by those picture boards that so many have.
Mm-hmm.
And those who attend a funeral may look and they may be interested in so-and-so's marriage pictures or baby pictures and so on. But I'm struck by the process the family goes through in creating the picture board.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you're talking about, is that same process. And I think it's just a very excellent idea to do that. And if there would be some way of duplicating or condensing this paper that you put all of that on, or taping it,
Mm-hmm.
like we're doing now, and talking about it, and some other activities that people in the family could do in preparation for this move.
Mm-hmm. So actually what that's doing is it is separating the home from the house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're taking your memories out and walking away from the house.
Yes, I remember, and this may sound a little hokey to you, we had a willow tree in the backyard that shaded all kinds of things, like the sandbox where the kids played, and it was just an important feature in the backyard. And if a kid was really unhappy, they might go out and lay under the tree and talk to the dog and sort things out. And it's just, I sold a home before I moved to my townhome, and then was getting ready to move. My girlfriend was with me the last time I was there. And I was ready to pull out of the driveway. I said, Carol, wait just a minute. I have one more thing to do. And I went to the backyard. I took a picture of the tree. It was fall, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just gorgeous and kind of gold.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hugged the tree and thanked it for all of the shade and the goodness that it had provided for my children all those years. Now, you might think, well, it's kind of certifiable to hug a tree if you just take it, you know, at face value. But it was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think lots of times there are things that families or people can do in saying goodbye. They can take pictures of things that they liked in their home.
Mm-hmm.
They can share it. They can have a family gathering about doing that. It could be a revealing and a helpful adjunct to this process.
So if people want to know more about grief and going through that process, either generally or specifically,
Mm-hmm.
can they contact you?
They certainly can.